I come from the era of back during the Vietnam conflict. We prefer to call it the Vietnam War from my generation, though it was never really considered a war. And back then, we really, as a whole here in my basic community, didn't really know a lot about Vietnam. We knew that there was a lot of jungle there because of things that were shown on the news, and at that particular point in time, we didn't know much about their culture. We didn't know much about how they lived or anything about them. Over the years, I've become a little bit more educated about Vietnam, and or at least I thought I did until today. A friend of mine, um, gosh, this has been probably about 10 or 12 years ago, went over. Well, she did a world tour, is what she did, and it was funny. She posted it, everything she did. She put on the internet. It was kind of sporadic because she had to try to find Wi-Fi and internet connection in different places, and it's not as prevalent around the world as you might think to be able to get an internet connection, to be able to post the pictures and tell the stories that she told as she went around the world. But one of the places that she went was Vietnam. And I found that probably the most interesting of any of the places that she went. And I don't really know why I'm that drawn to learn about that culture. But she was telling things like most people there do not drive automobiles. They ride bicycles or motorcycles. If you want transportation, you either have to hire a car or you take a bus. And she said the buses are in very poor condition. The roads are even worse. Everything is just one big rut. They don't have paved highways over there. And she'd tell how she'd take a bus somewhere, and when she got off the bus, there would be these little roadside carts where they were making food. And it would be something on a skewer. And then she found out what was on the skewer. It would be fried rats and bats and things of that nature. That's their fast food over there. It was interesting, a lot of the craft places that she went, it was like um, people doing things in their homes. You know, they would spin wool or whatever fiber, cotton or whatever they could get their hands on to spin it and weave it and make it into cloth. They did a lot of handwork there, basket making and um, beading and that sort of thing. And she sent a lot of pictures back over the internet of these things that she had seen, and some of them let her participate in like dyeing of the wool and some of the spinning and things that they did there. And she received quite an education. She took a year off from her job and just traveled the world just to learn. Well, the fellow that does my nails at the nail salon here in town is Vietnamese, and I got into a conversation with him today. He speaks very broken English, so it's been kind of difficult for us to really strike up any kind of a conversation. And the way it all got started is he has a little tablet, and he'll play different like documentaries and things from Vietnam on it. And I guess it's a channel much like YouTube, but everything's in Vietnamese. And he had one on there today playing it where they were carving. They take these big slabs of wood and they would carve these very intricate three-dimensional wall hangings, and they had intricate carved desks and tables and clocks and all kinds of really neat things. And so we kind of got into a conversation about that. And I asked him, I said, on this one picture that they had carved. It was really big and very elaborate. And I said, what would something like that cost? And he said that it would probably run about 10,000. And I said, is that American dollars or is that Vietnamese money? He says, well, that would be Vietnamese. And I said, what is the exchange rate for money between the United States and Vietnam? And he says, well, here, $100 over there would be 220,000. And I said, repeat that. And he said, $100 here in America is $220,000 over there. I was just blown away. Well, we continued our conversation and was talking about some of the differences between America and Vietnam. And he told me that over there, you know, that they primarily do not drive cars. And I said, yes, I'm aware of that. I said, you guys ride bicycles and scooters, right? And he says, yeah. He says, a bicycle over there would probably run you $100 American money. And a motorcycle over there would probably run you about $2,000 American money for anything worth having. And then he said a car would run you around $85,000 just for an average vehicle. And a house over there would run about $225,000 just for a meager, like 1-bedroom, 1-bath house. And then he threw a real shocker at me that I didn't expect. Over there, if you want to buy a car or a house, you have to have the money. They don't have financing over there. Hence the reason that most people are riding bicycles and scooters. And so I asked him, I said, okay, well, if the price of things is so high over there, what would an average person that, you know, an average person having an average job here in America, just, you know, your 9 to 5 every day factory worker or what have you, what would they make doing the same basic kind of work over there? And he says, in Vietnam, they'd make around $300 a month. So wrap your brain cell around that. And that's why the people in Vietnam are so poor. That's why they are living in shacks. That's why they don't have heat in their homes over there. They bundle up warm for the winter time. My friend that was over there traveling said even in the hotels, there's no heat in the hotel room. She said, you get your blanket and you wrap up because it's going to be a cold night, especially if you're there in the wintertime. So I thought I would share some of those things with you that I have learned about the difference between Vietnam and the United States. Hopefully it'll make you more appreciative of what you have. When that heater kicks on here in the wintertime and heats your home up, you'll be glad you had that. And whatever home you're in, you'll be glad that you're in it. And whatever you're driving, because most of us have vehicles, you'll be glad that you have it. And when you make that mortgage payment or that car payment, just think of how blessed you are to be able to have the ability to be able to make the payments, because in some countries, they don't even give you that option. And when you sit down to eat and your next meal, be glad you're not eating a fried rat or a bat.